In January, I watched Erica Kirk compare herself to Mary, the Mother of God. On Easter, I watched Donald Trump compare himself to Christ the King.
They call me king now, do you believe it? I'm such a king, I can't get a ballroom approved.
Then a few days later, I watched as a significant amount of his base got the icks. Really, that's what it took. Not all of them got the icks, of course. There are the faithful few who have been convinced that narcissism is a fruit of the spirit. Donald Trump claimed the Pope said Iran should have nuclear weapons. He didn't say that. He didn't say that.
Well, I'm all about the gospel.
Yet, Satan is the father of lies. I'm feeling like the church lady. Well, isn't that special?
Well, isn't that special?
Love thy neighbor as thyself, and like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I was raised Catholic. Like, we didn't eat meat on Fridays. To this day, salmon patties. Ew! Like, we always knew the priests went to Catholic high school. I asked them who they were to speak on such things since they had never had sex. I then went and sat at their table for lunch just to, make sure my eternal damnation hadn't been locked in. Memories. 2nd or 3rd grade, I had to memorize the Apostles' Creed. My mom said, "Really? I don't even know that." So when it was my turn to recite it, I told the teacher, "My mom doesn't even know it. Why do I have to?" Then I got saved in college through an organization very similar to Turning Point. Evangelical ministry for over a decade. Doug goes to church regularly, but I don't. But every day I see numbers like 11, 11, 12, 12, So apparently the angels still think I'm pretty cool. I consider myself a recovering evangelical, but when I see Trump and Erica Kirk do these things, the Jesus freak in me comes out because no. So yeah, we're doing this. Since Charlie Kirk's assassination and Erica has gone full Erica, I didn't even know who she was. People in her circle downplaying the whole Catholicism thing. A priest went to their house the night before. A priest rode on the plane to Utah with, not everybody keeps a priest in their back pocket. Evangelicals tend to not have priests around.
Really betrayed. We know the feeling. Many of the people in this room went through hell. Resurrection of Jesus Christ. It was the great miracle, I guess. Right?
I guess, right? It's like he's saying, if you're into that kind of thing. The film is called The Passion of the Christ, and yes, it's the one Mel Gibson directed. It's also the best depiction there is out there, and it focuses quite a bit on Mary. I met Jim Caviezel at the Dove Awards, the Christian Music Awards in Nashville. Some famous people want to be approachable, so when you shake their hand, they'll put another hand on top, and they'll really make a point to, make solid eye contact. And all I kept thinking was, honey, I am a Jesus-loving woman, but I would go home with you tonight, so you need to let go of my hand now. I actually worked with Luis Guzman, was a patient on a gurney. And the place is packed out, extras and production crew, everybody. I put out my hand and I said, Luis, I wasn't this intense. Luis, when I saw you in Count of Monte Cristo, and he came over and took my hand, I fell in love with you immediately. Get this woman whatever she wants.
What do you want to buy?
Revenge.
Mel Gibson is in the Daddy's Home movies. Daddy's Home, Shabbat Shalom. Coincidence?
Always keep the Sabbath huge.
At this event that's being held in a church, which I don't know why, Jesus had left the building. She brings up Mary, the Mother of God, an example of how to stand firm, stand, and God will do the rest. I don't know what the hell literally it was, but clearly it was about her.
Beautiful depiction of standing in the suffering.
Or she was trying to make it about her.
John chapter 19, verse 25, where you have Mary, the mother of Jesus, standing at the foot of the cross.
Near the cross of Jesus stood his mother's sister, who is Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. Near the cross, not at the foot of the cross. Big difference. A lot less splatter. When Jesus saw his mother there and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to her, "Woman, here is your son, and to the disciple, here is your mother." Now, woman in Greek means like dear woman. It's not like woman. From that time on, the disciple took her into his home. John, by the way, is the only disciple that did not die in some horrific manner.
Just watched the most unjust violence take place against the love of her life, love of our life.
Of course, that's how Erica refers to Charlie, so, this is the gospel according to Erica.
And what did she do?
We don't know what she did.
She didn't scream.
Out of the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, John is the only one that gives Mary specific attention about her experience at the crucifixion, basically just that she was there, and I guess because it involved him. She didn't scream, none of this. That's all we have. There's no, any of this. There's none of any of this. There's none of it. None.
She didn't accuse. She didn't try to explain God. She wasn't pulling her hair out. She just stood, had her friends next to her.
Really? Not her team?
She stood with composure.
Another way to say non-emotional.
Divine power, patience.
She's just making things up. Make heaven crowded to her? I mean, there's a process people have to go through to get there, and heaven doesn't have walls.
You trust in the Lord. You have no idea what you can bear until you're tried. And
that saying also applies to people who trust in nothing. I don't know which one of her personalities is going to allow the psychotic break, but undoubtedly they will blame Candace Owens and other commentators such as myself. Demonic, because we call out the fact that she is misrepresenting scripture, the things of God, contradicting Charlie about everything. In reality, those closest to her encouraged her in this direction.
You just know that His grace is sufficient because you can feel it. You can deeply feel it.
She's doing right there, I call shame doctrine. It's what instills in people this idea that if they're struggling, it's their fault because Jesus is sufficient. So what's wrong with me if I'm doubting, if I'm in pain, if I need medication, if I need to ask for help? It's so contrary to everything Jesus was and taught. Satan prowls around like a lion seeking who he can kill and destroy, the prey that is weak and broken and off by itself. That's what shame does. Even in the beginning, it's presented that God was never alone. What it does is emphasize the need for community. Even God had it. In the land of Christendom, it's sometimes presented that Jesus came down here like a superhero, and I'm gonna die for the sins of the world. And yeah, he got some whipping. They don't understand that hooks went into his back at one point to rip his skin down to his bone. To die by crucifixion can often take days. He only lasted 6 hours on the cross because of the religious leaders wanting him almost like beaten to death beforehand. He wasn't like, yay, I get to do this thing. The scene in the movie where he willingly goes to the cross, they don't have to drag him, that's pretty powerful. Recognize the fact he could have blinked at any moment and wiped it all away. To compare Donald Trump, who cannot control himself in any capacity. It amazes me when people defend him who don't see his Truth Social account. That's always the first question. Do you see his Truth Social account? And the way he misuses power. You think Trump would have even let himself be whipped? He was crucified at the 3rd hour, which was 9 a.m. Of course, he had the trial with Pontius Pilate before then, and then he died the 9th hour, which is about 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Some still have asked, have you seen the video? Why would I ever see that video?
Erica inadvertently just put on blast, undoubtedly blinded by her narcissism, that she and Mary are nothing alike, because both had men in fear for their life the next day. And only one of them showed up.
She just stood.
Home didn't need you. Charlie did.